All right, so I am back in Photoshop and I want to talk about our tools. First tool is the Move tool. Before I get to that though, this toolbar can collapse. It can be one column or two column. If you ever accidentally close it, let's say, and this is possible this way, you can actually drag it. Anything that has these little tiny dashes, it's hard to see them, but this means it's a movable item. And so, for whatever reason, if you've moved it around and maybe it's over here because you prefer to, if you're left-handed, you might want, I don't know if you're right-handed. Some people just like it over here. It's a personal preference thing. Now, if you accidentally close it, what you'll want to do is go over to your workspace and just reset whatever workspace you were in. Like I mentioned before, I'm always in Essentials just to keep things easier for people. When I'm doing demos, I don't want to switch around. That's confusing. So reset Essentials, and then all your stuff pops back. I don't happen to need Learn, so I'm going to close that up. Then there's two options here. If you look at anything in your toolbar, if there's a drop down, that means, see that tiny little arrow in the corner? That means you are able, there's options. Now, one thing that's nice about the toolbar is if you hover long enough on a particular tool item, you will get this box that pops up that tells you what it is, as well as the hotkey. So if it has a hotkey, it'll be listed here. For this one, it's V. You just type V and it'll go over to your tool. Like right now, I'm punching in different numbers, so you can see like this one lit up, this one lit up. So if I want to go back to it, if I'm on a different key, rather than having to go up here with my mouse, I can actually just hit a key for the majority of them. Now, there's two options. You can either move your item here. I can't move this right now, it's locked. Any file that you open from a photograph will have a locked layer. I'm just going to duplicate it so I can move it. So now there's two on my layers. And this way you can kind of see I can move it around. Now, this item underneath it is for Artboard Tool, and right now we don't have any artboards up. I just have a file. If you are working with an artboard system, I'll just go ahead and make that happen. Artboards are nice. Typically, let me just pull this up here so we can see it a little bit better. Your artboard can have multiple components. A lot of times what you can do is, let's say you have an idea and you're like close, but you want to try something out. Rather than doing a file save as and making a new copy, you can actually say new artboard, and then whatever ideas you have in one, you can replicate in the other. So for example, I could duplicate these two layers and drop them into Artboard 2. And then if I change one thing, I can then do a quick side-by-side comparison. We'll be working with them a little bit more for our first project. So you can see then the side-by-sides there. So anyway, the side-by-side is here just so that I can do the Artboard tool. And then you click on your artboard. Whoops, I guess I didn't do that well enough. There we go. You can see the difference there. And so what I want to do is be able to click on the actual artboard. So I have to click on the name of it, and then you can grow it, you can expand it. What it does not want to do is move. Like the gap that's here, that's set. You can't really do anything about that. It doesn't let anything go past it, if that makes sense. Like you can't, in Illustrator you can actually have things go past the edges of your artboards, but not in Photoshop. That's why there's the gap here. It doesn't need to change, but if you want to change the actual size, that will let you do it. So, okay, so that's what that is for. Another thing about the Move tool that is kind of associated with it is the auto select for what you want to move. We don't have any groups yet, but you can, I'll make that real quick just so you can see the difference. So a lot of times in Photoshop, and right now what I'm doing is I'm holding my shift key down and I'm selecting both items, and I'm coming up here and I'm saying new group from layers, just so that you have one. Groups are nice just for organization. Sometimes you don't need 1,000 layers, you just want to be able to group your items. I'll turn these off here. So it allows you to auto select. I'll just keep these on so you can see the difference. So auto select, you can either do layer or group. So what this means is right now I don't have it selected to do this. So if I click on something, I want you to notice that there's no changes based on where I'm clicking. Whether Artboard 1 or Artboard 2, nothing is changing and what is selected. If, however, I switch to auto select and I click on this layer, you can immediately see the layer that I'm on, or over here you can see which one I'm on, it's highlighting it. If you click group, then it'll choose the group that you're in rather than the layer. And that can be very nice if you have a ton of stuff. If you're wanting to actually move a group, because sometimes you'll have a bunch of contents within one and they act like a unit, you'd want to be able to do that. Otherwise, if you have the auto select on layer, it'll choose a specific thing within a group and then only move that, and that can be annoying. So there's definitely a reason for the need to choose a group or a layer, but the default is layer.